let's talk about projects. So today's project is a presentation, couple of text slides I'm going to show you. So, if this bores you, if you don't care about help desk tickets, cool. Go ahead and check out. You go with my blessing. We're done for the day. But if you're interested at all in help desk and prepping for the current A+ Core 2 exam and joining me as we lay down the foundation for next week's installation and the following week's usage, stick with me for 15 or 20 minutes and we'll get through this. It's actually pretty doggone interesting in my never to be humble opinion. All right, this week's project, 220-1102 Core 2 objective says, hey, let me share it with you. I can show you exactly what it says because I'm just that kind of a guy. Where'd you go? Over here. Yeah, let's share that. Go to the screen sharer. And wave the magic wand. Okay, so in domain 4, operational procedures of Core 2, objective 4.1, given a scenario, implement best practices associated with documentation and support systems, information management. And the first subset of objectives in there, sub-objectives, is help desk ticketing systems. And these are the things about ticketing systems that you'll have to know in order to prepare for the exam. So what I've done is I've taken each of these bullets and I put them in my notes, and I'm just going to talk briefly, excuse me, hiccups, about each of these bullets. I'm not going to do a 4-hour presentation. It's going to be a half a paragraph, couple of sentences on each of these things, maybe a little fill in here and there. But let's run through this list real quick. So ticketing systems have to be able to track certain information. Sometimes it'll be changeable. All kinds of things happen to it. So certainly we've got to track user information. We have to track information about the device that's having a problem or any related devices. Obviously, we need to track or document, we can call that the same thing, description of the problem. And that is probably the most malleable thing in here, changeable. So a customer calls up a help support system and says, hey, I have this problem. Or maybe they use an automated system with pull down. What's your problem? And it's one of these things. Well, sometimes users don't have the background and language to describe what's really happening there. And so we get more involved in that and update those descriptions. There's categories of problems, hardware, software, connection, all kinds of things if we're going to stick to the computer side of the world. The level of severity that the problem is. All that gets documented. Escalation levels. Where do we start with? Who and what system do we start with? What happens if that system can't resolve the problem? Then we're going to have to escalate it. All of this stuff has to be clearly documented in written format so that it can be used for a variety of purposes that I'm going to cover in future. All right, we're going to come back and revisit one more final slide on this thing a little later. But off we go. So what is a ticketing system? I borrowed a definition from one of the ticketing system providers, so forgive me if I'm going to just read this, but it's a good one. I looked over a lot of them and said, you know what, I like this one. I'm using it for from a company called Capacity, or their product is Capacity. Their website is capacity.com. And it's in one of their subsets under FAQs. And they answer exactly this question. What is a ticketing system? A help desk ticketing system, which I'm calling in my notes an HTDS. It's not much easier to say than help desk ticketing system, but it is my term. It's not an industry standard term. So if I use that, don't go look up HTDS somewhere online. You're not going to find it. Dave invented it. But it's software utilized by a customer support team to accomplish the following. It develops, manages, and maintains lists of customer issues without having to run a full-blown call center. Now, full-blown call centers also use HTDSs, but you don't have to, right? If you're a smaller organization to mid-size organization, one or two or a handful of techs working together with a good HTDS can create a great troubleshooting department, an effective one, a powerful one. With an HTDS, end user experience is a high quality response to customer requests, even with self-service options, right? A lot of HTDSs have an initial entry point where it's got pull down menus and FAQs. Hey, if you're having trouble with this, you've probably experienced those, and some of them drive you nuts, especially, right? You're a technical group. Your internet connection is down. You've played with your router, you played with your settings, you know what you're doing. And so you call your internet service provider. And what's the problem? I'm having a problem with my internet connection. Press 3. Okay, you press 3. And then it starts offering you, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Of course you have. And you have to sit through all that garbage before you get the option to say, I want to talk to a human. However, not everybody is in that circumstance. Not everybody has tried all of those things. And so this kind of stuff can be useful to many people. And then after the automated systems, then we may get escalated up to something a little more human. All right. There's a lot of HTDSs out there, HDTSs, and they all have similar essential functions. What makes one different or better or not as good as the other is their additional features, and that oftentimes makes them a little pricier. Those enhanced features are going to include things like automation, customer greetings, variety of portals, ticket routing to the appropriate support group. This goes to the software support group. This goes to hardware. This goes to router. This goes to networking connections. So it automatically gets routed to appropriate people. Doesn't take some human to answer the phone. Okay, I see you're having a problem with this. Hang on, let me connect you with Fred. He does hardware support. Stand by, putting you on hold. Ugh! Man, I want to react poorly in circumstances like that. Automation can provide updates. I just want to check on the status of my call. Hey, I called in a problem that the internet connection from my ISP was down 5 hours ago. What's going on? Nobody's called me back. My net's not coming back. So you may have been assigned something like a ticket number, or you got an account number or whatever at that time. So you can call back and say, put in your ticket number, your account number, whatever. And it says, your problem is in the queue. It will be handled in the next 37 hours. All right, so that's some of the features. They don't all do that, but that's what makes some of them better than others. Some HTDSs have knowledge bases. That knowledge base is available for the customers. Here's something you can try with that kind of symptom. And it's certainly available for the troubleshooters themselves, the technicians. Some of them have live chat. I don't think we're able to handle your problem, or you've pressed 1 to communicate with one of our techs. Stand by. We'll get you communicating by live chat if we're talking about a web interface or video interface or a text interface, or maybe it's a voice interface or a phone call. So you can have live chats between customer supporters. You pay a little more for that from some of the help desk ticket system providers. HDTS. How about integration? This sometimes requires special programming. Sometimes it's ready to go. You can integrate an HDTS into existing databases. So if you're looking at your customer database, they call into the ticket system, and ticket system looks at the inbound phone number. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, checks the company database and says, hey, there's a person here with a phone number. I see that this is a phone number of a customer. Please verify that you are a customer by putting in the last 4 digits of your account number, whatever. And so we can integrate that kind of stuff, and then those records can be put together. That's really cool and powerful stuff, especially in medium and large size organizations like a large cable internet service provider. I use a cable internet service provider, and if I call tech support, I go through exactly what I just described. We can automate ticket categorization. I've kind of alluded to that before. So when they call in, either frontline voice support or prompted audio support or web interface tech support, what kind of problem are you having? What does it involve? And, sometimes it's, I don't know. I just want to talk to somebody. Cool. We got you covered. But if you're a little more technical, maybe you can help out the tech support people by selecting these categorization areas. So again, it starts to get routed to the right person. Maybe you totally blow it. That's okay. It goes to the right goes to a person. They look at the problem and say, oh, okay, this has been miscategorized. Sorry to do this, but there are someone who's a little more qualified in this area than I am. Stand by. I'm going to move your ticket over to somebody else. Notice that they never call you your thing a ticket. And that's good tech support. They're talking to Pat. They're talking to Gene. Hi, Gene. I'm working on your problem, which I see is you can't connect to Google. That's not a problem, right? That's a solution. Oh, did I say that? Oh. Good ticket support software has analytics that have nothing to do with the customer, but it generates how long a ticket has been going through the system. Sorry, I'm trying to, the autofocuser is throwing up every now and again. I'm trying to find the sweet spot. So it can track those kinds of metrics, how well we're doing with customer service by what happened with the ticket, how long from the time it got started to the time it got resolved or abandoned or whatever. Okay, there's all kinds of metrics that can be done there. So high-end ticketing systems, it's a hard word to say, can provide those kind of measurement and metrics. And then here's one other feature. This seems to be a kind of a very common feature that really sets apart the better packages from the okay packages, from the basic one. It's called Omnichannel. If you've got a ticketing system that supports Omnichannel, what that means is there are a multitude of ways that a customer can contact the support channel and get a ticket started. Might be a phone call, might be online, it might be a text message, email, through social media, chat systems, all of that stuff. So the more omni-channel venues are available, the higher end your help desk package is going to be. So I went through a list of common and popular help desk packages. If you look up right now, best ticketing system, best help desk ticketing system software, you're going to find 200 sites with a lot of different entries in them, top 10, top 20s. And so I looked through a pile of those and said, these are the ones that always appear in the top 10. I don't even have 10 of them here. I just kind of picked up some very, very most popular ones. By far and away, the one that at least makes everybody's top 10, if not number one, is Zendesk support. Zendesk, one word. And as I look at this handful of ones that I'm going to tell you a little bit about, I'm just going to give you one or two little factoids about them. One of the separators from the goods and the greats is it free? Is it paid? Is it open source? Do they have tiers of pay and open source available? You get the idea. So Zendesk is not free by any stretch of the imagination. It has 3 paid tiers that will run anywhere from $50 US to $99 US. And they do this in an interesting way. Most of them are pretty similar in how they generate these charges, but some are a little bit different. In this instance, it's per agent per month. So per tech support person who logs in and handles tickets. So, and then there's different levels of support. If you're paying $50 a month, maybe you get X amount of tickets that you're allowed to handle per month, or maybe you get this many different omni channels, whatever the case may be. So Zendesk doesn't have a free tier, but it's a really, really, really top-notch product and used in a lot of places. I'll bet when I look, when I get done with this presentation and I look at the postings here, some of you are going to say, yeah, that's what we use. Best and most popular free open source one, Spiceworks. Not perfect. It's very, very good for small and medium-sized organizations. It's out there. It's well supported. I like Spiceworks from the time that I've played with it over the last week or so. HubSpot, another popular one, always makes the top 5 or top 10. Totally paid, runs anywhere from $50 to $400 per month, and that's a flat fee. So it doesn't care how many customers you have. No, it does care how many customers. It doesn't care how many tech people you have using it to provide support. Here's an interesting one. Here's one with a free tier and with a fee that's based on users that you support. It's called ProProfs, one word, ProProfs, ProProfs Help Desk. It has a free tier, it's trial, it's good for 100 users per month. And when you start biking that, then you got to start paying, and it goes up to as much as $15 per user per month. There's a lot of ranges in there. HappyFox, very popular. It's paid, and they don't post how much you pay. You have to get a quote from them. You got to give them the details. So it's good. I see it rated as a top one, but I don't see it listed as a really huge number of installations compared to some of these others. Here's one you've all heard of, SolarWinds Web Help Desk. Totally paid, different classes of license, they have different payment tiers. And there's lots and lots more. Just do a look up on top help desk ticketing systems, you'll find tons of them. So with all that list, which one are we going to use, Dave? None of them. I'm going to use a very base model one that provides some bells and whistles, but mostly common features. We're going to use a thing called OS Ticket, all one word, OS Ticket if you like. It's considered best beginner-friendly choice for basic IT ticketing and help desk functionality. It's free. There is a paid version if you want to install it cloud-based. But if you want to install it on a Raspberry Pi or on a virtual machine in-house or on a regular Linux machine in-house, no charge. They don't care how many customers you have. Knock yourself out. All right. Now to the individual bullets that are on the objective, that are in the objective. Excuse me, there goes that hiccup I was looking for. First of all, there's user information. All ticketing systems have to track user information, and this gets fun. It's as detailed as necessary. Most of them are configurable. They'll come with defaults, names, account numbers, a self-assigned ticket number that's trackable, and you can add stuff in here, dates, departments, locations, whatever other information that you want to track that's part of user information here. Any tracking metric with operator defined fields in whatever kind of system you're going to use, whatever package you use, is something that should be well planned out before you do the installation, before you run it the first time, because adding tracking fields to any of these categories later can be challenging with many systems. They all have to track something about the problem, and typically the device. So maybe you call up your ISP and you say, I'm having a problem, I can't connect to the internet. They're probably not going to say, what's the make and model of router that you have? However, they're going to be tapping on your account and saying, okay, he's got an Eris 2400, and they're going to put that in the help desk ticket system package. And sometimes, you know, it'll be a little bit more jet. Oh, I'm using the company assigned laptop, that XPS 14. Okay, so we know that one. They may or may not know the device information. Here again, these are often databases whose fields you can fill in, so as detailed as you want. Type of device, computer, it's a printer, it's a switch, it's a router, it's a patch panel, makes and models, configuration information, how old is it? Is there an inventory tracking number on it? All that stuff. Description of problem, self-evident. However, how you implement it is an interesting thing. It could be done with pull-down menus. It can be open text boxes. It can be voice that some tech is typing in on. All kinds of possibilities there. Categories of problems, networking, application problems. I'm unable to, I have this all the time. I am terrible at the Microsoft suite of products. They have two versions, and sometimes I run this one, sometimes I run that, sometimes I run either. There's a web-based or cloud-based version, there's a local version, and oftentimes there are differences. This feature is missing on the cloud version where it's available here, and that kind of stuff drives me nuts. And I call our in-house tech support and say, hey, look, I'm trying to do this on the web-based one. I can't, but I can on the office-based one. To which the usual, well, do the office-based one. No, I need the web-based one for this. So That would be an application problem on a ticket. Could be an operating system problem, could be an accessibility problem. So your category fields are, again, ones that you will typically set up in the beginning. There's always some default ones there, and you can make new ones, and it's best as ever to create all the categories that you think you're ever going to use at the beginning. All right, we got a problem. We got a category of a problem. We know who's having the problem. Now, how severe is the problem? What is the impact on this? It only affects me. I can't run this program, or I can't do this one thing in this program. My whole computer's down. My network is down. Well, are other people in the office or your home down? No. Okay, so there's a severity level. Individual, department, whole floor, the entire company is down, whatever. All that stuff can be documented with some level of severity. Now, this one I got a special slide coming up for. Escalation levels. So a ticket starts somewhere. It starts with somebody making initial contact and making an initial report. At that point, most support organizations use a tier system of supporters. Tier 0, Tier 1. Tier 0, typically an automated system. Tier 1, a person who's new at tech support. They've got skills, they got some communication skills, they need to enhance their tech support skills, they need to practice their customer interactions, things like that. And so maybe that's Tier 1. Tier 2 is people who can handle problems that Tier 1 people simply can't handle yet. There's no definition of what a Tier 0 can support, or Tier 1 or Tier 2. It's nebulous. It's up to the service providing company or organization, the MSP, the managed service provider. So it's Tier 0 is whatever they say Tier 0 should do, could do. Same thing for Tier 1, same thing for Tier 2. So let's bring up a slide and take a look at some of the tiers and typical ways that these are implemented, because that gets kind of interesting. Hard to believe, huh? It's true. All right, so even though there is no official tier system, most of the managed ticket support systems expect you to use a tier system, and they have it documented and provided that way. And this is kind of a situation where the cart has driven the horse, because this stuff is built into the software. Organizations mold themselves to work with this feature of the software. Okay, well, the software expects Tier 0. Let's set up a Tier 0 function, and same for Tier 1. So Tier 0, typically self-service, including online help, chat bots, whatever's automated. Tier 1, now we get agents who have help center software, basic product information, collaborative tools. These agents, these are tech support people, have SOPs, and if they can't resolve an issue, they log that in the ticket, and then it gets escalated to Tier 2s, Tier 3s, higher up. So these are higher level, typically people. They have more knowledge, they have more experience, they have access to information that might not be available to the lower tier people. Core schematics, right? Maybe they're supporting a product to the schematic level for a very advanced technical customer, things that would not be very useful perhaps to a Tier 1 agent, and certainly not to a Tier 0. And of course, if they can't do it, then you may have a Tier 3 or even a Tier 4 organization. And when all else fails, if they can't do this, you're asking me questions, customer, that are beyond tech support and troubleshooting. You're looking for a problem with the code. Hey, every time you do this, the code does this, but it's supposed to do that. Oh yeah, that's a bug. Hang on. We will get the developers or engineers involved. Maybe that's direct interaction between them and the customer. Maybe that becomes someone that a technician is a go-between to. So you get this. So those are the general tier type of organizations and categories that we're going to run into. Hey, almost done here. The last couple of things are about documentation. What goes on the ticket as it gets handled? So we already mentioned one, a problem description. It starts out with something that the user's provided. Maybe it's just a simple entry from a pull-down menu or something that they typed in or voiced in and then was created, written. But if that isn't enough information for a technician, very good, technician to solve the problem, then the technician's got to interact with the user. Remember the troubleshooting model, the first step, gather basic information. It starts with asking questions, and the answers to those questions are what are going to go in the problem description. Maybe it's even a visual inspection. Hey, put your camera on and show me this. Or maybe it's an on-site thing. You're an on-site technician. That ticket is built, the ticketing system is built into your phone, your tablet, your whatever, or your access it back at the office and home. And so you're filling that out as you go on, or when you're done with the call, you jump back in the vehicle and stop and you make notes in the ticketing system. All this stuff is critical, for the first step in the troubleshooting model. And then these documents will be critical for providing support, for any time that needs to be escalated, for tracking, for billing. Okay, maybe you're a profit center who's providing managed support. Next kind of thing that's got to be well documented as part of the ticket, progress. Who's done what? How long is this thing in the system? What is the next step? That doesn't fit, actually it does fit within the troubleshooting model too. It's used for establishing theory, testing the theory, having success and next step, or having a failure. So try again with a new established theory, trying that again. Documenting the resolution, that's part of progress. Documenting steps that were communicated to the end user or to whoever's appropriate to avoid or prevent or to rapidly recover from this same kind of future event. All that stuff goes as well-documented progress notes and fits well within the troubleshooting model. And then the final piece of documentation, information and details about problem resolution. Now you're going to like this one, I hope. All problems are resolved. Every problem gets resolved. There is no unresolved problem. It may not be resolved to everyone's liking, but there comes a point when the service provider, the technician, says, there is nothing more we can do. And that point happens in a number of instances, like, we solved the problem. Huzzah! Here's your bill. Or maybe there's no bill because we're an in-house thing. Glad you're working it again. Now I'll go work on another customer. Or we have taken this as far as we can, and it is not possible for us to do anymore. We may not have solved your problem, but we've hit a wall. Maybe the issue is your warranty, customer, has expired, and we were happy to help you where we could, but your problem is more and more and more, and it requires out of warranty service, which we may be happy to provide. We can do that for X dollars an hour. Are you kidding? I bought this thing 11 years ago. You should still be helping me out. I'm sorry. My manager says, and our standard operating procedures, I can't help you further than that. Well, I'll escalate that to your manager. Very good. I understand that. Document. Took it as far as I could. Customer said they would take this to the manager. For our part, the ticket is closed. The problem, the ticket, is resolved. Not solved, but resolved, complete, done. You get the idea? So that all gets documented, and that's part of the final step of the troubleshooting model. Document everything that was done and that was communicated and how it was resolved or how it finished up. So that's it. That is the stuff that you need to know in a nutshell about Helpdesk ticket systems for the new 220-1102 Core 2 A+ CompTIA exam. Boy, we need a little more wordage around that, huh? Okay. Here endeth the lesson.